Hi, welcome to Mentor Monday. If you don't know me, my name is Lisa Ireland and I'm an Australian author of contemporary fiction, and I've just published my sixth novel. This is The Secret Life of Shirley Sullivan, which is published here in Australia and New Zealand by Penguin Random House Australia. Sorry that the image is reversed on your screen. I haven't worked out how to flip the image when I'm using the webcam yet, so hopefully I'll practice that, and hopefully we'll get better at it as we go on. But I'm here today filming the very first one of my Mentor Mondays, and what that is all about is me being your writing BFF. So I guess if you're watching this, you are on the journey of becoming a published author, or at least you want to be on that journey. And it's a journey that obviously I've been on myself, and I thought, what better way to pay all the mentorship and help that I've had over the years forward, but than by helping the next group of aspiring authors to come through. So, as I said, I've got 6 books published. It's taken quite a long time to get to that stage. I was probably 10 years in the aspiring stage, 10 years from the first time that I had thought that I would like to make writing my full-time career, until I saw my first published book on the shelf. So roughly 10 years, and then I've been right. So my first book was published in 2014. It's 2020 now, so I've had roughly a book out a year ever since then. And one of the things along the way that I would often wish for was to know someone who'd walked the path before me. I did have writing friends, people that were at the same stage as me, my writing tribe, as we like to call each other, and that was really helpful, really, really helpful. But what would have been helpful for me is to have a mentor, someone who had already been through the whole thing before me, that could have sort of held my hand and walked me through it. So consider me your writing friend, your writing mentor. I'm here to tell you what I've been through, how I did it, and the pitfalls that I encountered along the way, in the hope that maybe you can avoid some of those pitfalls. So I guess we should start at the very beginning, which is, where do you start if you want to become a published author? And the very simple answer to that is to write. You need to be sitting your bottom on a chair, or standing at a standing up desk, as many of us do these days, and tapping away at your keyboard as often as you possibly can. I know that sounds like the most obvious advice in the world, but I do a lot of talks. I work a lot with aspiring authors, and one of the things that I notice quite a lot is that a lot of people who would love to be published just simply don't spend enough time writing. That they might go to courses and they might talk a lot about their story, and but they don't actually spend a lot of time writing it. So for me, I'm fond of telling people that writing is both an art and a craft. Those of us who wish to write generally have some talent. Because for people who don't have talent, sitting in front of the keyboard is quite painful. So those of us who enjoy it and who want to make our living from it, most of us have got talent. Sadly, talent is not enough. What we need to do is to practice the skill, just like any other skill. Writing needs, for it to grow, for it to get better, and it doesn't matter what stage of your career you are at. I'm still at this stage with 6 published books. I still have much to learn, and I'm still, with each book, trying to improve, trying to get better from the last book, to reach higher, to achieve more. So that's my first piece of advice. Sit down as much as you can, even if it's only for 15 minutes a day. Eke out a little bit of time each day to work on your story. Go in further videos, I'll go into more detail about drafting and about how to find the time to write. But today I want to talk about whether or not when you're at the very beginning of your career, or and even if you're not published, it is the beginning of your career when you're first starting out to write. Right there at the very beginning of your career, what advice should you take? Where should the advice come from? Do you have to do a course? Should you be reading books? Where should you spend your money? Because it can be quite expensive to be forking out for online courses or for in-person courses, books, resources, retreats. You can pay a lot of money and keep paying it. What is worth your money, and do you need to do it at all? Okay, so we'll start with, do you need to do it at all? You do need to, like I said, with any skill any new skill that we're learning, we do need to learn. We do need to inform ourselves. Now, do we have to have a degree or a diploma or some sort of recognised course to be a writer? No, we don't. Many writers will have absolutely no university qualifications whatsoever, or their qualification might be in something else. Like, I don't have a writing degree, I've got a teaching degree. So don't feel that you have to go and do a creative writing course at university, or pay an awful lot of money for a creative writing course that you can't really afford, and don't let that stop you. So that's on the one hand. On the other hand, I'm not someone that thinks that there's nothing to be gained from doing creative writing courses. I think it's a matter of finding the right one for you. For me, I did do, when I was not quite first starting out, but I'd done a few little online courses when I first got the idea, just to see if I would actually like writing and to workshop it. So I did a few free online courses, which I got recommendations from friends who had done them before. But the first really big, serious commitment to my writing was doing the professional writing and editing course at TAFE. So that's technical and further education if you're not here in Australia. So I did it so TAFE is it's the technical college, basically. And the course I did is a diploma course, so you can, if you complete it, you end up with a diploma of professional writing and editing, and you can actually do the same course at university and end up with a degree in it. But it's a bit longer and a bit more detailed, a bit more theory involved. But for me, I was, when I first started out, I was at home on maternity leave from my teaching job, and I was writing. I'd started writing, and I wanted really practical assistance. So I looked around, and the TAFE course seemed to offer the best hands-on. I didn't really, I could read the theory, I could get books and I could go online and read the theory, but I wanted a course that was hands-on, where I was going to get real feedback from people who knew what they were talking about. And that worked out really well for me. So what I would say to you is, no matter what type of course or professional development you want to do in writing, the most important thing is to check the credentials of the person who's going to be taking the course. And it goes the same for if you're going to read a book. If you're going to invest your money into a book, a craft writing book, check the credentials. Who is this person writing the book? And this is just my opinion, but my opinion is, if you haven't written and published several books yourself, if we're talking about fiction here, if you're looking for advice on writing fiction, you want advice from someone who has either worked in the industry, if they're giving sort of industry-based advice, like what, for instance, what is popular, what works in fiction, then an editor would be a good person. So someone who's worked in a publishing house as an editor, that would be, or in publishing in general, successfully in a big publishing house, then that might be a good buy. But if you're looking for advice on actual craft, on how to put a book together, on how, what elements work in fiction, how you actually put a draft together and what you do next, you need to be looking, whether it's a course or a book or whatever, for someone who has written several books themselves. And then it might even be worth your while to get one of the books or even just a sample of the work and read it to see what the quality is. And I'm just going to say, I'm talking about traditional publishing here because that's where my background is, that's what I know. But even if you were wanting to self-publish, and I would give the same advice. If someone's giving advice on self-publishing, or if they're talking about fiction writing, I know lots of really high quality self-published authors. But again, if you are going to take writing advice from someone who is self-published, buy one of their books or get a sample of one of their books and read their book to see what the quality is like, because there's a wide spectrum in self-publishing, just as there is in traditional publishing. So I guess that's what I'm wanting to say to you today is, if you're going to take advice from someone, even me, please check out people's credentials first. I'm really astounded at the amount of people who give advice on writing who, in my book, have really almost zero qualification to do so. Some of them might have a background in marketing, or they might have a background in publicity, or I don't know, teaching English, or something like that. But if they're going to give you advice about writing a book, then really we want to see what they can do, because if they're going to tell you how to do it, then they should have done it themselves first, and done it well. So the other thing is, when you're looking for a course, is to look at the type of publishing that you want to do, what you want to get out of being a writer. So for some people, like, you might be writing a memoir, for instance. Now, I can't help you with that. I mean, I can help you with lots of things around the industry, but if you want to write a memoir, I don't know anything about that. So you certainly wouldn't come to me for advice on that. But there are many great memoir writers, and there are many great courses on writing a memoir. You might not want to make a career out of writing. You might just have this burning desire to have this one story, this one memoir told. The same with fiction writing. Some people, it's a bucket list item. They want to write a book. They want to get it published. They want to see their name on a spine on the shelf. And so the type of advice, career advice that you're looking for, would be different from someone who's decided, I want to be a career writer, I want to be picked up by a traditional publisher, I want to write one book a year, I need to be able to make a certain amount of money from it. So what I'm saying to you is, look at the people that are offering the course, look at what the course offers itself, what is it going to teach you, how much craft, how much business, if it's a short course, is it value for money? Can you get that information elsewhere without paying an exorbitant amount of money? Yeah, I think that's pretty much covered it. So I'm going to be dropping these Mentor Monday videos every Monday. I'll cover a different topic each week. And I'll advertise the topic on my Facebook page and on my YouTube channel beforehand. But I just want to say before I end again, this is all my opinion. This is what's helped me. It's not necessarily going to help you. But over the next few weeks and months, I'd really like to take you through the whole process of writing a book, what's worked for me, what hasn't, and just give you some little industry insider tidbits just to help you along the way. So I really hope you'll join me, and please feel free. I'll post this, it'll be on the YouTube channel, but I'll also post it on my Facebook page. And if you have questions for me, the Facebook page is Lisa Island. The Facebook page is really the best place. I'll give you the address in the show notes afterwards. The show notes, but in the notes underneath the video afterwards, I'll leave the address for you. Because if you have questions or ideas for things that you would like me to cover in Mentor Monday, then please go ahead and leave the comments on the Facebook page. Anyway, happy Monday for the rest of it, whatever you're doing, and I'll see you next week. Bye.